Let's go. First of all, as I said, my name is Antje, but some of you might know me as Next Stop Korea, mostly on Instagram, actually. I do a bit of TikTok and I did YouTube for quite a bit, but now my focus is Instagram and my blog, actually. So let's start right into what we are going to do today. So first of all, I tell you a bit about me, and then we go through the whole content creation process, especially how I'm personally doing it. That does not mean that it's like a have to go-to way for you all, of course. That does not mean that you have to do it exactly like I do it. You have to find your own way. And but I want to give you some tips how I do it and how I grew my my channels over the years. So first, a bit about me. I will swiftly go through this just a bit so you know why I'm talking about this. So my name is Antje, I'm from Germany, and until 2021 I worked in Germany in a big finance company. If you're from Europe, you probably saw the logo in the picture here. So I worked for a big finance and insurance company, and I worked in marketing, and I focused on marketing and social networking and things like that. So I am specialized in marketing, but it has been 4 years now since I moved to Korea. So I took a so-called sabbatical, took a break from work, moved here randomly, started studying Korean, and yeah, then decided to stay here. And during that time, I also started doing my own Instagram, like my own little projects on Next Stop Korea. And today I'm a full-time content creator. That means that most of my income is coming through Next Stop Korea, and everything I sell on those platforms, everything I earn through collaborations or other things. Yes, but enough about me. Let's go into content creation itself. So before you can actually create content, you need to find ideas. So here are a few things that I use to come up with ideas what I can create content about. So of course, trends, they're everywhere, especially when you're on like social networks. It's like always there. You have to keep up with those upcoming trends and everything. Certain events or like holidays that come up, they're always good to make content about. But what I mostly did and what helped me grow a lot is sharing my own experiences about whatever. Like in my case, it was me moving to Korea, so I shared my own experiences about like how I applied for the visa, how I found housing here, how I studied Korean at university and things like that. And I shared my own experiences, and through those own experiences, I got a lot of questions from people seeing the videos. And for example, in story FAQs, I think you can also use the YouTube comments, for example. So people ask questions, and then I made videos about those questions to help people with whatever they want to know themselves. Then I also do collaborations, but not just with brands, but also with other content creators. Like many people, when you hear collaboration, you think of brand collabs, but you can also collaborate with other content creators, especially on Instagram and TikTok. They have this collaborative posting option, but on YouTube Shorts or YouTube in general, you can also there are different ways to collaborate with other creators too, which is also a nice way to reach other people and also to find new ideas to try some different kind of content. And then, because I live here for 4 years, I film almost everything in my daily life. Like, as long as I'm not bothering someone with it, I film almost everything. That means I have a lot of content. And whenever I'm lacking some ideas, I just go through my videos, whatever I filmed. And when I realize, oh, I haven't posted that one yet, then this is another way to find ideas what to post that day. I also use ChatGPT to help me organize my own brain, and I use Answer the Public. And the last two I will talk a bit more about, just for you so you know what it is. So Answer the Public is a website. It's, I think per day you can check 3 keywords per day for free. So I searched the keyword. It's a website where you can put in keywords and it will tell you what people searched about those topics. So for example, I searched for the keyword Korea trip because this is what most of my content is about. So you can see that people mostly searched about the trip costs. It's very small, I'm sorry for that. So how much is a Korea trip? Then is it safe to travel to Korea now? Especially, I think this is because of last year's things that happened, and can U.S. citizens travel to Korea? Like those are the three most searched questions. But what I love about Answer the Public is the next thing, which are keyword related additional things people Google with Korea trip. They not just Google like for the costs, but also for Korea trip itinerary, Korea trip package, Korea trip planning, Korea trip food, like things like that. So it gives me a lot of like info. Okay, this is what people are interested in when it comes to Korea content. So I should make a video about it. I should make a video about a Korea trip itinerary for 10 days because this is what people want to see. So I have all those ideas in my head, and then I go to ChatGPT and ask it to organize all the thoughts I had. So either I can ask it like those are two prompts as I mentioned, you would get the presentation, so you can then just copy and paste it. So those are two prompts I give ChatGPT to help me with it. But as I mentioned, it's important to always make it yourself. So AI shouldn't be the creator of your content. It should only be like an assistant for it. So yes, that's about how you can find ideas and how you can organize them. And then it comes to content planning. I personally use Notion, and this is what my content calendar looks like. I mean, this is from 2024, but it looks exactly the same right now. And I come up with all the ideas and I plan it per month, sometimes 2 months in advance. I would say I stick to it about 50%. So often I switch around the ideas I have and I'm like, oh, I don't feel like posting that today. And then I just switch it to another day. Some things I switch to months later and they're in here for like years already, but that's just a good way to kind of like keep track of my own ideas, which is really good. And then also just to keep track of deadlines in case you're doing some kind of programs like this one here. If you have like posting deadlines, it's really nice to have a little calendar for it. So as you can see, this one, the Seoul Culture Lounge, it was a video I did for the Seoul Tourism Organization. And yeah, I usually include the deadlines and things like that. So this helps for planning. Now, some tips for the camera. So we got the idea, we have planned our posts, now we have to film whatever we want to share with the world, of course. So here are some tips I personally use. I film almost all of my content with my iPhone 14 Pro. I do have a DJI Osmo Pocket 3, but I'm honest, like I usually forget it at home. So my phone I have always with me, and I filmed for the most of my content creation time. I filmed with an iPhone 11. So it does not really matter what kind of camera you have, as long as you just start and you just do what you film, I think, and you stick to some of the tips I will give you here. So what I always do, no matter if I do photos or videos, I tap on the screen to put the focus on whatever I want to focus on, and then I lower the exposure a bit. That gives the whole video a bit more of a contrast. You can do that in like after editing too, but for me personally, it's easier if I do it right away. So I click on the focus, then lower the exposure. By the way, it should be almost exactly the same for Samsung phones or any other versions. Like I'm just explaining it whatever I'm used to here. I always have my grid turned on, so I make sure that all my footage is straight. It should always be aligned to the horizon or to whatever buildings there are, so it should always be kind of straight as much as you can. Then for photos, I usually use the serial shot. So you know when you take a photo, you can tap the shot button or you can tap it and then put it to the side. So it takes a lot of serial shots. That will go into your storage, I promise you. But it's really nice to have the more like candid shots, to more like when you're moving and they look a bit more natural. So that's for the photos. And for videos, I personally film everything in 4K and 60 FPS. That is not necessary, I would say, and that goes a lot into your storage. I personally do it because I once started and I do have like the biggest iCloud storage now, but you can, for example, also film in HD. This is the minimum I would recommend you, like the 1080 pixel. Yes, then you have different modes you can play around with, like the activity mode, the cinematic mode, portrait mode. So I usually film in the normal modes, but sometimes I feel like just trying around some new stuff. So those are like things you just should get used to when you're playing around with your own camera. And I personally play a lot with the Zoom too. That means like on my phone, it's a bit different per generation actually. On my phone, I usually use 1 or 2. So 2x in this case, because I think all of our phones these days, they have multiple cameras. Like mine has 3 cameras. So you should get to know your phone a bit and see when it switches through the different lenses because they all have different quality. So I personally on my phone, if you have an iPhone 14 Pro, you should stick to 2.9 by zoom because once it hits 3x, it changes the lens and the quality drops. This is very different for different phones. So even the iPhone 15 is already completely different. So make sure to check how it works for your phone. So those about the filming tips, but there are more shooting tips you should know whenever you go somewhere and you want to film a bit more. So for example, I go to a cafe and I want to film what I'm doing there. So I do not just film the coffee itself. I shoot a lot of B-roll. Those are things that are not the focus of the video, but they give the vibe of the situation. For example, it's me going to the cafe. It's the cafe from the outside, the cafe from the inside. Maybe if the person working there allows it, you can film how they drip the coffee, for example, if it's a hand drip coffee store. I film the view of my coffee, like, you saw a lot of those nice aesthetic coffee shop reels or shorts. So those are the things you should like film and have in like petto in your storage. I film a lot of different angles, as I mentioned. I think this goes along with the B-roll. I do a lot of different motions, like, you can like go like closer to it, you can go further away from it, you can pan to the left, pan to the right. There are a lot of different movements to make the video a bit more, I don't know, I'm lacking some words. I'm not an English mother tongue, so sorry, but you know what I mean. Like to make the visuals a bit more interesting, let's say it like that. Of course, the lighting should always be good. I think now I have this huge, I don't know if you can even see it, there's a huge light bulb right in front of my face so that the lighting fits. You should do the exactly same when you go somewhere filming it and it's like really dark. Usually the quality of your phone camera or other cameras like drops. So make sure that there is enough light to actually get what you want. As I mentioned, I play a lot with Zoom. So I usually film a bit like closer and have a wide shot and then like a close-up shot. And you can actually play around if you're interested in that. There are like small clip-on lenses if you like to do macro shots. For example, if you do like skincare stuff, it's sometimes really nice to have micro lenses that zoom in, macro lenses that zoom into the actual liquid itself. It's very interesting. So playing around with Zoom is also something you can like, or for example, when people do this with like when you film themselves walking, they usually film it in 0.5. So that's also something you have to think about because the quality of the video drops again a bit, but it's not too important because usually the platforms, they just like have all the same quality in itself. So you turn around the camera, that's, for example, usually filmed in 0.5. Just an example. But that goes a lot into transitions. So while filming, you sometimes can think of fun transitions during filming. So you probably saw a lot the people who do like this, like wiping around the phone. So this should be something you have to think of while filming if you want to use transitions during the film, during the video. I film a lot with a tripod, especially before I met my husband and kind of my manager and cameraman these days. He is like now he is my tripod, but before that I needed a tripod myself. So whenever I went on solo trips, I always filmed myself. And in the beginning, of course, it was really, really weird to film yourself when like people are maybe watching and you're just like drinking my coffee. And it's like really, it's awkward, but in the end, no one really cares. As long as you're not bothering someone else, they don't care. So just do you and do whatever you feel like in your content too. Yes, and storage is a huge point, as I mentioned before. I do have big iCloud storage. You could use Google Drive, you can use hard drives, you connect to your phone or put whatever you have on your phone to your notebook later to edit it, things like whatever you feel like. But this is something you should keep in mind, because if you film in high quality, your phone storage will get full pretty quickly. So that's actually a big advantage if you have a Samsung and not an iPhone. Yes, those about shooting tips. So now we have all those videos and all those photos, what we're going to do with it. So those are the apps I personally use or can recommend for editing. They all have free components, and some of them I have paid components too. So Keepcut was almost completely free for a long time. Sadly, they started asking for payments now. I personally needed Keepcut so much that I have to pay for it. But now Instagram came up with their own, one second, we got just another notification I have to click away. So Instagram came up with their own app. So Keepcut is TikTok. So it's the same office, the same company. And Edits is Instagram. So it belongs to the Meta company. So those are two, they work pretty similar, but I think Keepcut does have a lot of more options. Sadly, a lot of them are paid now. But Edits or InShot, those are apps you can use on your phone pretty easily to make short form content. You can do long form content on your phone too, but I usually do it on my notebook with DaVinci Resolve, which is also completely free. It's similar, I would say, to Premiere Pro from Adobe. It has a bit less options, but it is a bit more on the professional side when it comes to content creation, like long form content creation. But it's nice to know it's completely free, and there are a lot of tutorials on YouTube that I watch to get into it myself, so you can do it too. And yes, I use Lightroom for photo editing and Canva for design, any kind of designs, especially like carousel posts. I do a lot with Canva. This presentation here was made with Canva. It's also, they have a free version with a lot of things for free actually. And they do have a pro version, but you don't need the pro version at the moment, I would say. It's good to go for free. So that's about that. So now I will show you how I personally edit a video in Keepcut. It is a video, so I'm not sure if it will be smoothly, and I will comment what is happening in the video. So it's starting right away. So this is Keepcut. So once you go into, you can use a template, which is someone else made this video, and you can use this exact template and just put in your own videos, or you put in. So this is what I want to do. You can switch around the order just by drag and drop. You can shorten certain shots you did by dragging around, or you can just split the shot and delete whatever is there. And then you can also add background music, but I will let you know that at a later point, because I would not recommend to use this kind of background music. You can add sound effects and, of course, record your own voice, so-called voiceovers. You can also put filters on. You can adjust the colors, adjust the contrast and everything. You can add text, of course, with many different fonts. You can see there are a lot of things. You can add animations, for example, this typewriting animation. And then once you like the video, you can export it like this, and then share it to TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you want to share it. This is, for example, now YouTube Shorts. Here is the point I would recommend you to add the background music and adjust the audio, the volume of it. Then you just process it and add your caption, the location, whatever you want to add, and there you go. So you can post it. So this is how I edited in Keepcut. As I mentioned, you would get the whole presentation. So if this was too fast, you can just go through it again. And and also you will have the chance to ask questions in the chat afterwards. So yes, this is how I personally edit my videos. But as you saw for my strawberry picking video, I chose the text strawberry picking in Korea. So this is what the video is about, right? But is it actually catchy? Like, is this strawberry picking in Korea? Like, people will read that and they will like, oh, okay, cool, skip. Like, you know how we are all scrolling through like TikToks and Reels and Shorts like all the time. So what you need is the 3-second rule. It's a so-called hook, like a hook. You need to hook the viewers in the first 3 seconds. Some people say the first 2 seconds, some people say the first 5 seconds. The quintessence is the same. So we want to grab the attention of the viewers. And there are different kind of hooks you can use to grab the attention in the first 3 seconds. You can reuse those hooks later in the video to keep people's attention. But those are some things you should keep in mind. Like visual hooks are, for example, things that people that jump into the eye, like immediately they see something that like pops the attention. For example, unique perspectives, transitions, animations, funny fonts or colors, facial expressions or like mimics, gestics, like zoom and movement, anything that grabs the attention of the viewer in the beginning. Of course, shock value can also work. Please do not hurt anyone, but things, for example, like dropping a vase and like shortly before it breaks, the video switches to whatever you want to say. That's like the moment people are like, whoa, what's going to happen? And then you're just like, hey, you wanted to see that vase crack, right? No, not going to happen. So you can like play around with those shock values too. And of course, also use sound hooks. Besides background music, there are a lot of different things like voiceover, for example, is the biggest I would mention here because especially these days, I think voiceover and talk to the camera content works the best. So I think like 2 years ago, it was a lot of like very aesthetic and very like short clips and very like beautiful clips. Now it's more about personality, more about storytelling, more about your specific views on the world and whatever you're doing in this world. So, but there are sound hooks, for example, I'm going to come back to that. But yeah, sound hooks are like swoosh, clicks, like you hear those kind of certain things. They're very subtle, but you hear them more and more in professional filmed videos, especially in short form. Like the typing sound, for example. Earlier we saw the typing animation. So usually when people use the typing animation, they use the tick, 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 tick from the like keyboard sounds, things like that. And you can find them in most of the editing apps too. You can use them. They are usually copyright free in those apps. So this is one good way to keep people's attention. Text hooks is, of course, what people read on the screen. So as I mentioned, like it goes a lot about storytelling, about personality, of course. But here also I would go for the shock value, like things people would read and they're like, wait, what is that? What does that mean? There are positive hooks, negative hooks. In my opinion, or like in my experience, these days, negative hooks work a lot better, sadly. Like I would love to do a bit more positive content, but you can use negative hooks, but turn them into something positive. I will show you in the next slide because I prepared a lot of different text hooks for you. Like, as I mentioned, you will get the presentation, so you can check this and go through it. Like negative hooks, for example, would be, don't come to Korea without downloading these apps. Like this is a way to use, like people are like, don't come to Korea. Like, why would I not go to Korea? I love Korea. Like I would love to. You have Korean food here and travel around, but why would she tell me to not come to Korea? So they have, they are focused. And then I'm like, but you should download these apps before you come to Korea. So I turned the negative hook into something positive. This is one way, for example, but there are a lot of different hooks. Like, did you know? Because this is something like, this goes a bit into psychology, I would say, because you're playing around with people and they're like, oh, I didn't know that, or I knew that, I'm so proud I knew that. This is something like really fun. So there are some different hooks you can use. I just wanted to let this, like give it to you so you can use them. Play around and see if it works for you. Some might not work, but just, yeah, in my experience, they work quite a bit. So that's about text hooks. So now we have the finished video. You added all the hooks and like visual hooks. You played around with different angles. You cut it. And now you rendered the video, you exported it, and you're ready to post it. So as I mentioned earlier, you should add the background music in the video itself, like on the platform itself, which is, for example, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts. So they have a public music library. So as long as you use the music in this platform, you're safe when it comes to copyright as a private person just posting their content for yourself. If you're a company, that's a different story. But I assume that we are all private people and we are posting this content just for our own sake and for our fun and just to share what we are doing. So then you can use the public music library in those apps. As soon as you download the video, there should either be the little TikTok or Instagram or YouTube watermark. Otherwise, you would not be allowed to use the background music. Like I would be really careful when using background music. Like you cannot just download any music from anywhere else and use the music on your videos and post it with them. Like if you do YouTube, you probably heard about that. They have their own public music libraries you can use, and there are trending sounds which you like. They don't do a lot, I think. Like they don't help a lot in like getting viral, but I think they are a nice little gimmick so you can maybe reach a few people more. And of course, original sound, voice over, whatever you do, like, oh, no, 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 like that's trending these days. Like there are a lot of like very viral TikTok sounds and they're usually original sounds. That means they're like, they came from a real person and someone just did something else with this sound. So yeah, that's about sounds. You should, of course, add a little caption. You can ask questions. You can also put the question into the comments. You can add a call to action if you want people to do some certain things. Like that actually, I always thought, why would I tell people to follow me? That's gives me the ick. It's kind of weird, but it actually works. Like for a long time, I was like, I don't like telling people to please follow, please save. Like you can, like the wording is very important, but if you say like, hey, if you like that, if this was helpful to you, then think about following, why not? And it actually did something. Like I really felt since I started doing this, people actually thought about actually following or actually liking or actually sending it to someone. So yes, just use the call to action to remind people that they should do it, because as we all know these days, we're just like doom scrolling through whatever content we have. And that is also something I will come back a bit later, but we should not focus on the numbers of likes and shares and stuff too much, but back to that later. You should add hashtags. They are not as important anymore. I know that a lot of programs, especially like they or like even companies, whatever, they require you to use 10 of those hashtags, but they don't really do a thing anymore. Like I would recommend you to use generic hashtags. Like, for example, I do use Korea, Seoul, travel, like generic things that people actually try to search, like Korea hotel, Seoul hotel, things like that. Like only the keywords people are like actually. So where was I? Hashtags. Yes, they're not as important. I would only use keyword hashtags, but they also don't hurt. So it's not like if you use a lot of hashtags, it does not make a big difference either way. So you can add locations in all of the platforms I mentioned, I'm pretty sure. Here, I would only be careful when you tag a certain place, for example, Seoul, South Korea. Just make sure after you post it that it is actually in Seoul, South Korea, because sometimes there's like they don't really check if it's actually the location, Seoul, South Korea. Sometimes it's randomly in Germany because someone made the post in Germany and used Seoul, South Korea, and then you're like, wait, why is this? So make sure to use the right spot in when you add the location, or just leave it out. It actually doesn't help a lot as long as you have the keywords you need in the text or in the hashtags. Again, do some collabs, find other content creators you want to work with. You want to have hang out if they're in the same area as you. You just grab a coffee and talk about what you could do together, for example. It's really nice to reach new followers because you have followers, they have followers, and maybe you can just like, you have similar interests. Maybe your followers do have similar interests too and would love to follow you too. So collabs are always a nice way, not just like brand collabs, but also like creator collabs. And of course, engagement. So I personally, when I post my content, right after posting the content, I go to my comments. So whatever people commented on previous posts, and I just engage with them. Like I answer some questions. I like the posts, the comments from previous posts. So people see, they get a notification, oh, this person just answered my question or liked my comment. So maybe I check out what she recently posted. So it's just like to engage. Like if you want your community to engage with you, you should engage with your community, of course. So for me, it's very important even till this day that I try to reply to almost all messages. I try to reply to almost all questions in the comments. I know it's a lot, but it helps a lot to, like, I also, for example, I don't see my followers as followers. I always call it the community because I know a lot of people they met through me, but they are like, we are a community, like we really care for each other. And I do have WhatsApp communities, like people come together. So it's more than just followers to me, of course. I mean, I'm very, very grateful to everyone. So yes, so engage with your community always helps them engaging with you too, of course, because they start caring about you. So yes, before I come to the last topic part, I want to give you this cheesy little quote. Comparison is the thief of joy by Theodore Roosevelt, because the next part we go into insights, which are the analytics, which are the numbers like views and likes and shares and whatever. So before we go into this topic, I just want you to make sure that over all this, like you should like post and do this and this, the most important thing is that you're not starting to compare yourself with others. Do not compare your views, your likes, your reach, your community, your videos, your content, your, like in general in life. You should not compare whatever you reached in life with anyone else. So I think in the beginning when I started doing content, I had a lot of points where I was like, okay, I do not want to do this anymore. Like I see people doing like worse videos than me, but they reach so many more people. Or I see other people's amazing content and I'm like, why does my content not look like that? Like, why can I not do these like amazing videos that look like a movie? So I got really, really quickly demotivated a lot. So I stopped posting. Like that happened with my YouTube channel. I actually wanted, when I first started, I actually wanted to focus on YouTube. And I realized, okay, I'm not reaching whatever goal I set in my mind. So I just quit. And with Instagram, I started and I realized, okay, just stop comparing and just continue whatever you want to do. And it worked out in the end. Like it took a while. It's not going to be like snap overnight. Like that's, I would say, pretty rare that it actually happens like that. So yeah, please do not compare yourself too much to other people. Like it's always good to get inspiration from others and to help each other to grow. Like if someone tells me, hey, you should try this and this with your like content, then that's constructive feedback I can use and do better next time. But yeah, comparing yourself with other content creators, with their reach and everything, it just demotivates, I would say. So yeah, but there are a few things I still want to share with you. So don't see this as like, oh my God, my watch time is so low. My content sucks. Don't see it like that. Like this is just some tips how you can try to influence those analytics. So the first one is reach. That means how many people do you actually reach and how many views do you get? Like, for example, like how many non-followers versus followers watch your content? How many initial plays do you have and how many replays? This is especially important for short form content. Long form content, basically, it's not that important if people watch the video twice. But if it's an 8-second video and people watch it like 10 times, that is a lot. So for example, those kind of things, they count in it too, but they are mostly algorithm based. So those are the things you can usually not directly influence yourself. So, but there are indirect ways, which are the other two insights I will actually talk about, which is the watch time. So watch hours, I think especially on YouTube, watch hours are the most important thing you want to focus on at the moment. And as I mentioned earlier, the 2 or 3 or 5 second rules, like are people actually watching longer than a few seconds, especially when it comes to short form content as we're talking about right now. So those are most interesting. So here you can try to influence them by hooks, as I mentioned, by storytelling, like voiceovers. USP is unique selling points. So whatever makes you unique. So whatever you can tell others that only you know, or that only you experienced, or that only you want to share at the moment. As like, if I would do things that anyone else is doing, why would people still watch it? So be yourself, like put a bit of personality into it and be honest, be relatable, things like that. And the second thing, like, so this is how long are people actually watching your content? And the other thing is, are people actually engaging with your content? So are they sending it to their friends? Means shares. Are they saving it for later? Do they comment? Do they discuss in the comments? This is why rage bait works so well. So if you're doing like, oh my God, I hate Korea, and then the video is over, people in the comments will go crazy. Like, I can tell you this video will go viral, but it's a video I don't want to do because I love Korea. So I don't want to talk about about the country I'm living in. So engagement like does indeed is really important with the watch time and engagement. I would say until almost 2 years ago, I think likes were the most important things. So if you get a lot of likes, you got a lot of views. So this was kind of the relation between likes and views. But now likes are not as important anymore. Like, it's more important how relatable is your content. Do people want to share it, send it to their travel buddy, or like send it to whoever they are close with? Are those memes, for example? That's why memes work so well, because people send them to their friends. So here, like, call to action is always important. Tell people to send this to their travel buddy. Tell people to send this to their friend over there. Make the content relatable, which means whatever you find funny or weird or share worthy, just think about like, how can I put this into content myself? Like, I laugh about memes a lot, so maybe I should do more memes, for example. And engage yourself. So of course, as I mentioned, you should engage with your community. You can also ask people to comment a certain thing. Like, for example, I make a video about my favorite spots on Jeju Island, and then in the comments I pin a comment. It's the so-called conversation starter comment, and I ask, what is your most, like, the best recommendation you could get for people traveling to Jeju? Because people love to share their insights, like they're, oh, I know a good spot, and then they comment. So this is something you like can always use, like, not just comment like, I don't know, like, let me know your favorite spot, but make it more like, hey, maybe if you share your spot, someone else coming to Jeju can actually use it and like see some great things over there. So you can reuse those things. Then that's it for now, I would say. I think we do have a bit of time for the Q&A. How do I make my videos steady, not shaky? So there are a few things. So when I want to use my DJI Osmo, it has the gimbal effect included, which means the camera always stays steady even though I'm like moving. This is one thing when I use my actual camera, which I barely do, to be honest. So I either, like, of course, staying as steady as you can when filming helps a lot. Alternatively, using a tripod when you actually have like a still like focus. In Keepcut, I honestly don't know if there is an option in edits, but in Keepcut there is an option to, what's the name? My English is lacking. Let me check. Stabilize, of course, makes sense. So there is a little button you can press stabilize, and it usually like tries to, like, how to say, stabilizes the video, of course, yeah. So this, or one other thing you can do is you can lower the speed of the video. So when you lower the speed of the video, the shakiness, like this is a quick video, but if it's like slows down, the shakiness gets a bit like slower, of course. So that's one thing I usually do when I do like close-ups. I just lower the speed of the video, of the shot, and then I kind of cut out the non-shaky part. So this, but also, like, if you do like vlogging content, having a bit of shakiness makes it more natural. So it's also always a good thing, like, to have it depending on what kind of content you do. And yes, let me go back to the questions. How do you get that professional filter on Keepcut? I saw somewhere that one should adjust the graphs. Yes, on Keepcut you can also do a lot of like color grading yourself. So I these days use some of the filters because I use Pro. So on Keepcut, I said there is like the paid version and the free version. So now on Keepcut, I use the paid version. So it does a lot of color grading for me. But you can also do the color grading yourself. There is a like tab called Adjust, and there you can actually go through the so-called HSL here. This is what it looks like. It's a bit hard for you to see. Here you go too. So this is what it looks like for color grading. And here I would highly recommend to watch some YouTube videos about it, because this is actually, I don't know, like this is a whole profession for itself. Like if you know a videographer, you know how much time they spend in actually editing the content. Alrighty. Videos get so much of engagement. How can it be done for carousels too? I think these days, carousels, they upped the, like, I mean, this is not for YouTube at the moment, but like for TikTok and Instagram, I think carousels are a lot about, again, the hook. So are people actually swiping through the content? Is the music not too distracting? Like I would like, especially when there's a lot to read in carousels, I would use like lower music, like kind of chill music. If it's not that, I don't know, like if it's just photos, then you can do a bit more exciting music. You can edit in Canva, for example. You can make those, you probably saw those carousels that look like a scrapbook. Like you have the picture itself, but then you have a little camera or like a sticker kind of on it. Those kind of things I usually do in in Canva. So they help to kind of make it like more fun. And for carousels, I would also say like telling people that there's a little surprise in the end of the carousel in the caption also works sometimes. Like, for example, if you want to see what's the worst part that happened to me that day, swipe all the way to the end, because in the end, then you see my matcha latte drop to the floor, for example. So people will be like, ah, yeah, that's relatable. So that's for carousels. How can we add songs to YouTube? YouTube library has only general sounds, but it's hard to put in music from an artist because of copyright issues. That is completely right. If you talk about short form videos, you have the public library. So you don't really download the music, you just choose the music in the video itself. So this is for short form content, but for long form content, you can use, as I mentioned, it's inside YouTube Studio. This is probably what you're referring to. So they have this music library with copyright free music. There are like, you have to actually, like what I did when I did YouTube, I searched for the best music in the YouTube Studio library. And then I found some songs that I really liked and I reused them in all of my YouTube videos. So they're copyright free inside the YouTube Studio. So, and I think they are fine. If you want to use other music, you have to usually pay for like copyright licenses. There are like Artlist, I think is one of the most popular ones these days, where you can actually pay like a monthly fee and then you have like a whole like library of actually proper music. But other than that, I would better be on the safe side and only use the like YouTube Studio music, because especially when it comes to copyright on YouTube, they're easy to strike you, like easy to give you strikes. How to reach a lot of viewers without drama? That is a cute question. Yes, I also don't want to, like I know exactly, as I mentioned earlier, if I would do a video, oh my God, I hate living in Korea. And I would not solve why I hate it. I know exactly I would get tons of views because people would be, why the fuck would you say something like that? Oh my God, I just swear. So sorry. Like, why would you say something like that? Like, that's really like, that would give me a lot of views. But I think what actually also helps is just be genuine, be relatable, be like someone people want to look up to, like be like the best version of yourself you want to show other people. Like don't fake it. Like that is also something I really want to point out. Like don't be like, oh my God, today I went to the gym and I went this and I went this and I went this. And when that did not actually really happen. Like if I would do gym content, like what the hell? Like no one would actually like believe me. Like be relatable, be yourself, be genuine. I think this is something, and in the end, people will like realize that you're actually genuine and you actually share your honest opinions. You do not like just do it like that. So, and as I mentioned before, use the negative hook, but turn it into something positive without being clickbaity. Like this is also a bit like if you overuse it, that's also a problem. If you're like, don't come to Korea because of this. I hated it here because this. Like if you use a lot of negative hooks, people will of course assume that you're like a very negative person, which is something I do not want to be. So yeah, always try to find a good mix of things. And of course, find topics that people actually want to see. So those were some tips. Sorry for the sound of my dangling thingy here. How to reach out to the influencers to collab without sounding weird. Tips to become a full-time influencer in Korea. How to reach out, first question. So how to reach out to other influencers to collab without sounding weird. I think this is something that I honestly don't know myself. I naturally, like, because I'm living here and I do a lot of programs like this, I started connecting with people through those programs. So you probably, like, I saw you're from a lot of different countries. So maybe there's someone living in the same city as you that you can meet up. So I met a lot of the other content creators through programs like this. That helped a lot. Contacting other people like directly in the DMs, it should be like naturally, like, hey, I saw a lot of your content, I loved it. Maybe if you're up for like having a coffee, then let me know. So yeah, it's always a bit weird if like it's just randomly and sliding into other people's DMs. So make it natural. Tips to become a full-time, once again, tips to become a full-time influencer in Korea. That is very tricky, to be honest. I like from the beginning, I made sure to have like freebies. Like I have a free content, like a free Korea guide I share with my followers and everyone who wants to get it. So it's a Korea travel guide with all the basics, like how to get an eSIM, like how to get this and this. So they're like my personal tips in one simple guide. But I also do like paid things, like I make personalized travel guides, travel plans for people. Like I love books and I love hiking. Can you make a plan for me? And then I make a very detailed and very personalized travel plan for those people. This is just one thing I do. I do a lot of collaborations, and I think I learned pretty early to like let people know that they should pay for content from a certain point. Yes. 뭐 언제까지 시간 돼? 지금 good. Oh, yeah. Okay, okay. Got a lot of more questions. I'm so sorry. Let me just like see what I can answer quickly. Any tips on making a video out of old photos from my trip to Korea since I didn't take much videos? I would recommend to make a carousel post. For videos, you can do, I think there are like some kind of you can check the templates in Keepcut. There are a few where you can actually use photos. Is Keepcut better than InShot? Yes, if you pay for it. No, if you do not pay for it. Because like a lot of things in Keepcut now are paid. Please announce this message. Yeah, okay. How do you manage content creation when you're feeling burned out or creatively exhausted? I take a break. Yeah. Yes, I take a break. That's also most important. If I feel completely burned out, take a break. Don't care about insights or whatever. Put your mental health on the top priority. That is the most important. And I think that's a good point to actually stop this whole presentation. If you have more questions, we can probably exchange it with the organizers here. You can also DM me anytime. As I mentioned, I try to always reply. But most importantly, before you leave this, in the group chat, I think not in the group chat, they sent a link. So this link will close within 30 minutes after the session has ended. And you have to check in through the link, like it's an attendance check. I hope you got this. You can actually get the extra point. It helped you all. It's in the Zoom chat. Exactly. Thank you so much. So I hope this little presentation helped you all. And yes, that you had fun. That like you can use some of the things, as I mentioned, you would get the presentation, so you can use some of the hooks or try to get yourself into a bit of more fun content creating. I personally watch a lot of YouTube tutorials when it comes to Keepcut or InShot or any other editing app. Even Canva, there are so many free tutorials on YouTube, and it's actually really nice because you can click it and do it yourself and watch it and do it yourself. So yes, take good care of yourself, and I think that's it. Thank you so much. Have a good day.